Thank you, everybody, for watching the K&B Music Den. I'm Brad.
And I am Keith.
Today, we are going to be touching on another review. It's one of those days again. Review
More
time.
albums keep coming out. Yeah.
And this week, we actually had some we wanted to listen to. Not to say we don't normally, but we didn't have to dig too hard.
No, we never review things we're not excited about. Never.
This week, we got Blur.
The Ballad of Darren.
Absolutely.
Well, okay, let's start off. Do you know who Darren is?
Yeah, you know who Darren is.
Of course I do. Smoggy.
Who?
Smoggy.
What do you mean Smoggy?
Darren Smoggy Evans. It's his the bodyguard for Blur, and now he works for Damon.
Oh, so it's not the guy I went to school with?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. I had a couple of Darrens. I thought maybe...
No.
Okay.
Why would they name your... never mind. Okay.
Never know. I had to pretend it was.
You can. No, you're special without that buddy. Don't worry about it. So, what is your background with Blur? Now, well, first of all, let's talk about it. We know it's going to come up before we even talk about the album. The age-old debate: Blur versus Oasis.
That was settled a long time ago. Oasis blew them out of the water.
Yeah, Oasis is clearly. But I always wondered why. I mean, they're both the Brit pop kings of the '90s, I guess. So that's why there's the war, and some of it was hyped up by the media just to help sell both bands, and it worked. But I just think their sounds are so different, like
completely different.
I don't know,
completely different. And then plus they left out Jarvis Cocker and Pulp. I thought that was they should have been in that conversation. I do enjoy that band as well. Yeah, but as an Oasis fan, I also enjoy Blur. This wasn't one of those things where you can't like one or the other. Exactly, they definitely were enjoyable. Someone that I listened to a lot when I was going through my Brit, Blur, Oasis, Pulp. Gosh, who else was in there? I'm trying to remember all
Suede?
I think they were in there.
London Suede or whatever.
Yeah, there was just a bunch of great Brit music just coming out all at once.
Travis.
Oh, yeah.
Stereophonics. Are they? I don't even know if they're from.
I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. So I mean, what did you think on your initial listen to this album?
Well, my friend, what I did was I realized that I'm not as familiar with Blur. It's cold in here.
It's a cold album.
It's July and I'm freezing. Blur's back catalog as I should be. So I went back and listened to Self-Titled.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I listened to Park Life. I listened to 13. I mean, I'm more of a fan of them than I realized by going back and listening to the album. So it got me a little more juiced up, so to speak, for this one. I threw this one on and I enjoyed it. With an asterisk.
Oh. Is it on steroids?
What?
You're putting an asterisk next to it. That's like Barry Bonds. Like,
yeah. Okay.
I mean,
the whole run. Okay. Sorry. And when we talk about music, I'm not smart enough to shift gears. So what I mean by the asterisk, my good friend, is I just felt like the album kind of was, how we talk about side A albums and
side B and... Yeah.
To me, this is a side A album, but it's interesting because I'm kind of spoiling what we're going to talk about later with my favorite songs. 2 of my 3 favorite songs on the album are the last 2 songs.
Well, you did just spoil that, yeah.
But I still say it's a side A album. I'm very confused by this album.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's just this middle part of it, the middle section, the core, so to speak. I think the bookends are really great. And the middle, to me, just kind of meanders along, and a lot of it's very slow, kind of mid-tempo, very honestly, some of it's forgettable in the middle to me.
Oh man,
yeah, it really is.
Rough. Okay,
yeah,
forgettable is not a good thing to be in a review.
No,
that's not a word you want popping up when someone's talking about your album.
Well, you set me straight. Set me straight.
I mean, for me, I need the readers, guys. I'm in my 40s now.
Yeah,
I can't see my notes without these. For me, my favorite songs on this are in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is why we do this, folks. Yeah.
Now, for me, I grew up, like I said, I was a Blur fan. 13, I think, is my favorite Blur album. I remember a time really listening to that a lot.
Yeah.
So the very first thing I noticed when I put this on was Damon Albarn's voice and how nostalgic it made me feel.
Yes.
I
agree with that very much.
It's not that he has this great singing voice, but it's just a voice when you hear it, you go, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like the 90s are back.
Yeah.
I'm back in my Firebird. Listening to 13, you want to pick up my girlfriend. I had a great vibe. So the very first track was a very good feeling for me on that.
The Ballad, right?
The Ballad, absolutely. Now for me, my favorite track, I have 2 or 3 on here that really stood out.
Okay.
The first one that really hit was Barbaric, number 3.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I don't know if you consider that on a bookend or in the middle.
Nah, more on the bookend, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me, I really that song stood out immediately. The chiming guitars, like it just had a great pop, Britpop feel to it.
Yeah, you're right.
My other big one, and I just thought the lyrics on it were fantastic, was track number 6. So this is definitely in the middle.
Yeah,
you would consider this the forgettable spot. Was The Narcissist, and I thought, that's a fantastic song because the opening lyrics on that are looked in the mirror and saw many people. Like, what a unique. What does that say about yourself if you're looking in the mirror and you see many people?
Yeah, well,
you feel, it's a...
Typically, it would say multiple personality disorder, but
or you're wearing many hats. It's to me, this album felt very. When I look back at Blur, Oasis, the whole Britpop movement, Blur to me were the fun band.
Yes.
You had Oasis were the rock band. They were serious. They were out to take down the Beatles. You had Jarvis Cocker, who was very artistic. Was more of an arts pulp. That band. Blur was fun. They just, they didn't take themselves too seriously, and I think that was the thing that stuck out about them. This album to me was very mature.
Yes.
It's pretty. I mean, it takes itself more seriously. To me, it's just a grown-up album from Blur.
Yeah.
And I think Damon nailed it. I mean, for me, I really enjoyed this album.
Well, and I'm going to admit something to you where you may call me out here, and you may call me out, and you're probably right.
Okay.
I listened to it once.
Okay, that's fair.
So... part just kind of the way my weekend went, and part because I just sometimes with certain albums I just like to get that initial reaction and not over analyze it, so to speak.
Well, I think most reviews that you read from like Kerrang or Rolling Stone, I think that's really what most reviewers do. I feel like they have so much work they're doing.
Yeah.
So many things they throw it on, make their initial response. I only listened to it maybe 3 times.
Yeah, which is what I usually do.
Yeah, I haven't listened to it. You don't have a whole lot of time in 3 days while you're living life and listening to other albums, but
and
I got a good vibe for it.
As you know, folks, subscribers of the channel, and we like to get these up, pretty quick when the review comes out, because it's when people are talking about it, kind of strike while the iron's hot. Shamelessly going for views and subscribers. Hint, hint. And comments. But, I didn't... There was nothing on this album, even in the middle part, where I wasn't, as engaged, so to speak, that I thought, oh, that's a bad song. Like, I didn't think that at all. So let me be clear about that. And going back to what you said about Blur, being the fun band.
Yeah, well, they were.
I agree, but I also saw them as the more kind of artistic, I'll use. But
really?
I feel like they pushed the envelope more than Oasis, as far as, here's this song, like the first song on 13. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like there's an end song too, obviously it was kind of became what it was for Stadium, woohoo.
Yeah.
But they have so many different sounds within that band and different songs and styles within their discography. Whereas Oasis, to me, like, it's freaking amazing, but you kind of know what you're going to get.
Well, they once asked Damon about the Blur Oasis, feud, and who was the better band, and Damon said it was Oasis.
Oh, really?
And he said it's because Oasis knew who they were and Blur did not. And I think that makes a lot of sense looking back on their catalog.
But I think that's part of Blur's charm.
To an extent.
That they keep trying different things.
They do.
Yeah. I mean, again, for both of us, hands down, Oasis wins that war. It's not even a discussion.
Yep.
But that being said, I mean, Blur is a great band. They're an important band. I can't imagine that 90s Britpop scene without them. It would be very empty to me. But, back to this new album, I enjoyed it. I'm interested to see how I feel on multiple listens, because it may be more of a grower. I don't know if I did a little bit of research, and they said that Damon Albarn wrote demos for these songs in 2022 while he was on tour with Gorillaz. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
Now, do you prefer the work you hear on this or his recent Gorillaz stuff?
I'm not overly familiar with the Gorillaz, to be honest.
Okay, yeah. That's what I was curious about. Because
I like everything I've heard, but I just never, like, the new Gorillaz album came out last year, and I checked it out, but I don't know, I just don't really remember. And it's a shortcoming of mine.
Well, it's not just because there's bands I go, man, I need to listen to that because I just don't know it, and it gets a lot of talk. Gorillaz are one of those bands for me. I don't know a thing about them.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should do something
We're
about
that. Do a deep dive on those,
Yeah, we'll have to rank the albums or something.
Yep.
I don't know, they have a few at least that I know of.
Yeah, tell us which one to start with. You guys can just, if there's any Gorillaz fans, listen to this.
Wasn't it Plastic Beach? Wasn't that one of them? Or?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Feel Good Inc. was a big song for them.
Yeah.
I always thought Gorillaz were very cool. Just not as overly familiar as I should be.
Yeah.
Probably the same with Blur. But as far as my favorite songs, and you can see I'm checking my notes here. I believe it's the second track, St. Charles Square. That one really kicked it into high gear after the ballad. I like the lyrics. I effed up. I'm not the first to do it. Must forego now her smile. Just a cool way to start a song. And this is what I mean about, like, they just throw things in that are, like, the seem disjointed, but it works. And I don't know, I just think they take more chances, so to speak, than an Oasis. But another one I like, song 4. So that maybe there's pretty large bookends here.
I was going to say, that's a big bookend.
Maybe there's only a couple in the middle.
That's a big slab of a bookend.
It is. But Russian Strings.
Okay, yeah, that's a good song, yeah.
And the lyrics, oh, geez. The tenement blocks come crashing down. With headphones on, you won't hear that much. I thought that was cool. And then, oddly enough, my other favorite song is the very last song.
Oh,
The Heights. Okay. Again, back to the book.
And that's a good song too.
That's a good closer.
Yep.
And I quoted the lyrics here. Something so bright out there, you can't even see it. Are we running out of time? Cool lyrics for a closer too.
It is, yeah, it fits. It's a fitting closer
for this mature album.
It is a mature album. I mean, it's very mature.
Yeah, but Blur. There's some bands that are just cool. Now, Oasis is the epitome of cool, but Blur's right there. I mean, they're a cool band. And David Albarn specifically is one of those guys where you want to hear what he does next. You want to, with the Gorilla stuff, whatever. You always want to check in because there's going to be quality there. Oh, yeah. And there's going to be stuff that you're going to dig into and enjoy. So I have a feeling, folks, that this is going to be a grower album for me. Again, I cop and admit to the one listen. But what do you say, Mr. 3 Listens?
Well, that's my thing. I mean, for me, I put it right in their top 2 or 3. As far as their releases.
Wow.
13, like I said, is a nostalgic favorite of mine. But this I thought was really good. I think it does sound mature. And as I'm getting older, too, this fits me.
Yeah, that's true.
As someone who's a fan of them, God, how long has it been? 20 years ago we were...
Even more.
Oh, God, getting old is horrible. Just remember, it's like, damn, 20 years ago.
Well, as my mom always says, it sure beats the alternative.
yes, you got a point. So, yeah, to me, fantastic album. Like I said, Narcissist and Barbaric. Were my standouts. So.
Okay. Well, you always do this to me. Would you buy it on vinyl?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I would.
Okay. Do you have 13 on vinyl?
I do not.
But you'd buy that first?
I would buy 13 first.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, just real quick, I don't want this to go on too long, but this brings up something we've been talking about lately. These bands that are not spring chickens anymore, I mean, they're not in their 80s or anything, but these guys that have been around for, 2, even 3 decades are putting out these
fantastic
quality
music.
albums. And like Foo Fighters we talked about recently, and some of these where it's like they're among the top tier of their catalog this late in their career, and that's so impressive to me.
Yeah, not showing any signs of slowing,
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, weigh in. Tell us what you think. I'm working on trying not to prattle on too much at the end of these videos, so let's see how quickly I can wrap this up. Let us know what you think of the new Blur album, The Ballad of Darren. Please like this video, share it on social media, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you soon with more reviews and a special anniversary video. Take care.
15 seconds.
Not bad. Oh, you got it?